But man alive, there was stories before we even got to the major, the biggest of which was, of course, this ESIC stuff, because they decided they were going to ban some coaches. So just in case anyone missed it or they forgot because they've been caught up with the excitement about the major, essentially ESIC have been finally delivering, after pressure from CSPPA and other groups, delivering the goods on these coach bug bans, trying to put that to bed. Turns out that my earlier reports about there being, 52 coaches being sanctioned, that was very conservative. Looks like it might be a lot more, but that is for a third-person bug, which apparently could occur at any time. And it looks like that is it is objectively a much milder form of the bug. However, some of the coaches that were due to compete at the major had used the free roam bug, which is essentially a form of no clip. And of course, they had the static cam bug, which is one that we've already seen people be banned for. Now, on the basis of that, ESIC had decided, in conjunction with Valve and PGL, that because of the greater severity if those bugs were to be abused, any coaches that were guilty of using them or not reporting them when they occurred, they should also miss a major as well. And so they brought 3 punishments forward. And the teams that were affected were Halley from Team Spirit, Peacemaker, who was obviously due to compete with Imperial, yeah, and obviously Zach as well, another Brazilian player, coach rather. So, and he was coaching 9Z.
Yes.
So this blew up, created a huge fucking drama before the major even begun, because people were alleging that it was unfair, it was disproportionate.
Also, spoiler, 2 of those coaches are Brazilian. Start up the band, guys. It's our favorite number. Is it because we is Brazilian? It's every time with those guys, isn't it, mate? And if you noticed, by the way, they also do this thing. The Zach guy particularly, I hate this. Look, if at the end it's proven you're totally innocent, spoiler, the way they do these investigations, almost certainly not. But okay, let's imagine there was a world where you're being railroaded, dear mates. Then you are totally justified to be righteous indignation. I hate it when people have righteous indignation just because they got caught or because they're trying to, they think if they send a mob after ESIC, somehow it'll help their case. They'll get to play. And then even people were doing that thing, reminds me of that whole story you've done on Hobbit, where what you do is you punish the messenger. You go, you just did this now to fuck them before a major. You specially did it right before they were going to the major so they couldn't replace him. No, he cheated. It just wasn't found in the... You can certainly argue, we're probably going to get into this about ESIC, how long do the investigations take? But let's be real. They don't think, like with the Hobbit case, what's the alternative? Well, I'll let him compete at the major and then later ban him for cheating. Like, are you fucking kidding me? So I have to say as well, right, one thing about this whole story, and this is one thing I wanted to get into a little bit. So we've had this discussion in the past, famously, about the Fnatic Olaf boost, right? Mm-hmm. Things like, should it, if it's that good, be something that you have to tell Valve about? Should it have been banned? All the rest of it. And famously, no one ever gets this because it was such a complicated story with so many episodes that came out and even data and context that came out years later. No one really gets that at the end. When you resolve that Fnatic bug, it comes down to this. Both teams used a form of that boost that both violated the same actual rule. You can't see these hidden textures, but viewing the hidden textures wasn't actually even the thing that it was for or used for. So essentially, it was just that the rule is, if you can see the texture, that's not allowed. So here's my problem with this case. When, as you say, we're talking about like a third-person bug or a free roam bug, sometimes that's nothing. Like I've heard there's that guy maybe had it on a knife round or something. Well, obviously, that's not going to help you given any comms there, right? But I saw an example of where he had it as a free roam bug and he was just stuck above Mirage B site. Did you see that one? And every fan, because they're a moron, goes, well, they didn't even go to that site. Mate, it's like as the timer's running down, they go to plant the bomb, he can just see there's no one in the B site. Like, obviously, that could be in comm information. He's moving around. Here's my problem, basically. Because I've heard it was alluded to, I mean, people might know there was a weird thing that suggested maybe Zonic's involved in this somehow. Because there was other people, big names, that didn't get caught. I mean, Malak technically was not caught for this. This wasn't the reason he didn't attend overall, right? Because of these other cases where we sort of know there's someone involved, but they haven't been punished. It hasn't yet been processed. I have a problem because along those lines of what I said about what the standard is, what's the bare minimum for when the threshold gets activated? I sort of feel like unless the bug does nothing, like unless it's you had third person on a pistol, on a knife round, which doesn't matter essentially. If it's at any time in the game, our standard isn't how good is what you got and how and could it help you cheat. Our standard, as proven by the Rugger, Robban, and Gary cases, goes like this: if you don't report anything where you can see something you're not allowed to, that's bannable. That's something. And worst of all, and this is something I hope we're going to get to at some point in this convo. The other thing, because I myself get confused by this, I have a hard time remembering, is that ESIC bans you from all competitions for a set time. Valve separately decides if you're banned from majors and has that demerit system, which is why, bizarrely, some people can be, like Hunden can be unbanned, but Raging can never play a major ever in his career. So because we've set these crazy precedents, the whole topic, I feel like, I don't think there can be consistency on this topic. And I feel really uncomfortable with the fact that I almost do feel like politics and how people keep responding to ESIC is like almost changing whether they're softer or they're harder in what they do. So there's a load we can get into here. There's so much.
Yeah. Well, let's put the Zonic thing to bed.
Yes.
Because obviously Zonic was there with Vitality for what that was worth.
Sure.
Yeah, just, you know.
Might have done him a favour if they said he couldn't go on this one, eh?
Yeah, I know. But anyway, he was there with Vitality and Overdrive, the Russian insider, leaked that there was a fourth coach who would be at the major that was going to come out as having used the bug. Now, look, I'll explain it to people. I've explained it a few times on my own.
Do you know as well, by the way, the reason why the public, like we knew this, but we weren't saying because it's like innocent until proved guilty. It hasn't even been publicized. But if people don't know, the story is even hilarious because it's just banter as fuck. The reason people found out it was Zonic is because Moses was on the HLTV podcast. And when they said something like that, he just guessed and said something like, I hope it's Zonic for this reason. And supposedly, because the others knew, like Striker and that, they were just typing in the chat, like, it is Zonic. And like, so it's just classic. You know, I love Jason because every time he goes on that bloody podcast, he always he does something righteous, but he puts his foot in his mouth. Because you remember the last one where he said, I don't think a rogue should even be allowed at this major. And then if people don't know, he was just at that major, like next to the bar and everything. And it's like classic Moses is getting absolutely.
Good to see you, Katie.
I know.
Good to see you.
I love it.
I know. No, so look, and it did turn out that it was going to be Zonic. But here's the thing. So in the way ESIC thinks about it is this, and I've seen the video and I've seen the Zonic videos. Okay. And I say videos plural, and I'll explain why. So, right, the third person bug can be used for a very limited way to ascertain information. Crucially, you can obviously swap between your players, and if they're going to certain parts of a map, you can clear corners with it. And Zach, who is so far the ban he got from this major, nothing to do with the third person bug, but he has also used the third person bug. There's two
certainly
videos.
Rich, like what we said earlier about the fucking anti-campaign, isn't it?
Exactly. He had 2 instances of fixed camera bug abuse and 2 instances of third person bug abuse, and he's using them. He's at his desk. You can see his mouse moving. He's looking around. There's absolutely, there's no chance of it being a Robban style situation, and he's clearing corners in the third person bug. Now, with Zonic, what happened with him? He got the third person bug, and what I think the reason he's going to get sanctioned is it had happened to him a couple of times prior to the headshot time that he's going to get banned for, and he'd said each time, someone ain't right here, someone ain't right. And then one time he was using it, he's not clearing any corners, but he is moving around, and the fact that it's previously on record that he'd had these bugs.
So he's aware of them.
Yes, so he must be aware of them, and he didn't call it out. That's why he's going to get sanctioned. Now, again, remember, ESIC's entire framework for the banning system is the third-person bug was something that could occur randomly when you connected as a coach, when you joined the server in the online era, for online games only, and it doesn't have a huge potential for abuse. So
and it's not like when Hunden's asking you to boost him or something. It's like you can't purposely plan, I'm going to use this and trigger it for you. Like, you're just saying it happens randomly to you. You're just in the game and it happens.
What I've heard might be coming down the pipe is like something arbitrary, like a 30-day suspension for everyone who's used it, which, spoiler, And when I say used it, I shouldn't say used it.
It happened to, or whatever.
Yeah, it happened to, exactly.
And didn't report it, yes.
Yes. And basically, they don't care whether you've got information or not. It's the fact that when you have a bug, any bug, right, you are supposed to stop, tell an admin, I'm bugged, can we replay that round or whatever? And there's like thousands of instances of people not doing that, spread out across over 100 coaches, including the ones that already got banned in the first dump. So basically, look, it's not favoritism. It's just that there's the vast majority of the coaches that are going to get penalized. It's a third-person bug that probably happened for one round, half a round in some cases. They joined partway through. So, it's for me, what I would have done is I would have sent them all a letter saying, like, look, we want it on record that if you ever encounter a bug again, you're going to adhere to like fair play and then it's just done with. But they're going to issue something arbitrary like suspension. But I think we can all agree that doesn't warrant missing out on a major, right?
No. Here's the problem. That's my issue is this. It's the divide. There's two main problems with this story. These are probably our two big topics, I'm guessing. One is the length of time it takes ESIC to do this. As people saw, some of this is 2020 stuff, mate. Like, we're in 2022 now. Like, again, if you're the police, like, this is like you cracked the case, but it's a fucking cold case and everyone's dead anyway. It's like, oh, great, okay. Then the other angle is the Valve one. Like, as I say, always the problem when you interface with Valve is, you notice the people who talk to Valve can never give you a clear answer, really, as to what's going to happen, why are they going. It almost feels like it's one of those fucking scenarios where you just go into a shadowy room and then they just say something to you and you come out and you're not allowed to say what they said, but you can sort of, this will be what we will be doing. So my problem is just that I feel like Valve laid the hammer down so hard from their side in the previous one that I don't think they've left any like I say, to me, the disparity feels crazy. Like, how can you be banned from a million majors and then the other guy's like, just a 30-day suspension, even if it's not quite as bad. Like, that disparity is crazy. That's like, that's the equivalent to us doing like a similar crime, but then I get 10 years and you get a probation immediately. It's like, so I wonder about that part, because unfortunately, like, it's going to happen every time that Valve is the one who ultimately decides that the major part, right? That it's not going to be ESIC who gets to decide that.
Yeah. And look, I mean, when it comes to, but the good news is now, and look, there's always going to be teething problems. Do I agree with all the sanctions issued by ESIC? No. Do I think they've displayed incompetence in some of their investigations? Yes. Do I think their time frames for resolving these issues are acceptable? No, I don't. Right? Like, and trust me, every time we have a conversation, I'm telling them, like, you are eroding your credibility if you don't fix these things. Now, at their conference, which I was meant to attend but couldn't because I had the COVID, they said they're going to have access to 4,000 staff. You're going to see report after report after report coming out. They've said there's going to be another one coming down the pipe very soon once they get the coach bug resolved. Or basically, they're looking to close all their outstanding database, which is kind of juicy. So it's got things in there like the North American match fixing and the Akuma investigation. So intrigued to see where that goes. But anyway, that, for me, the chances are that the people that got banned from this major, it's going to count towards future majors. Might be the case, actually, that these people are only going to have the one demerit, and in which case this was a slap on the wrist. And, listen, and look, to talk about the three that did get banned from the major, they're righteous bans. Peacemaker is on a video. We joked
this was
about
egregious.
we joked about it on the last episode of Return by the Numbers. He's flying around fucking apps. They're spamming. I mean, and look, I've talked to him about it, and he says, "Listen, I didn't give any info. I swear." But
I know he thinks there's more to the case, but the problem is it just looks so bad. And then also, mate, even though we were using it as a meme, because you did say that fucking stupid tweet, now they want your head. Because now you've almost made light of it,
Yeah, but also now the problem you've got is, it essentially makes you look like a liar.
Yes.
Whatever the story behind this bug use is. And, that's the most egregious example, it's the one... that's where you essentially have no clip. Now, there are other coaches that have used that who just weren't at the major, and they're going to get fucking wrecked as well. They just weren't at the major because, like you said, timing is the issue. What's worse, right? But stop somebody from going to a major, right? Because, they've got a cheating infraction, and then maybe we haggle down their sentence later, but all the evidence is they're guilty. The evidence is public, by the way. I don't know how anybody can dispute that. Or don't do it. Wait until after the major and then potentially have a cheater win a major. Like, for me, option B is far worse than always will be.
Absolutely.
And because it devalues the whole competition as well, right? So, look, the ones who got hit were righteous bans. I watched all of the videos on stream. We're going to talk a little bit about Team Spirit and Hallie's in a moment. Zach's is also a righteous ban.
Thought so from what I saw, yeah.
He had a game against the United where he was on Cat on Mirage. Well, no, sorry.
Someone I was talking about. That's what I just described. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it's a 17-18 game, and his team has to win to take it to double OT, right? And he is sat there in no camera mode, moving around. He can see who's on B bomb site and when they rotate. He can see when they're on Cat. And people are going, he didn't see anybody, so he didn't get any information. Sometimes not seeing someone is the information. So,
absolutely.
So for me, it's a righteous ban. And keep in mind, he's got 2 third-person bugs where he's also blatantly using it coming down the pipe. Zach was a no-brainer. I think he's going to get a pretty sizable suspension. I also don't know how much I should say, but I heard, let's just be fluffy about it. I heard Peacemaker's looking at over a year. And that's just based on that one infraction because, again, ESIC consider the free roam bug to be the worst of the worst. Spoiler, if you're Valens right now, your CS career is probably over because he's got lots of infractions, many of which were made public by Lewis Mira of Deserto, and the community went clickbait. So,
oh, mate, there's another thing I hear. Like, this does lean into what I said about all the Brazilian coaches. And by the way, here's another detail. Look, if people don't know, on this show, certainly I do banter, but I don't actually, I'll never lie. I mean, I'll tell a joke that has a fantasy scenario. Of course, it's a joke. Yeah. But one thing I think is actually pathetic is the Brazilian fan base are notorious for a victim complex. It's like I said on Twitter, minus Zeus, which famous Brazilian coach can you name who hasn't cheated with these bugs? It's mental. Mate, if this was like this with the Danish scene, or I mean, it sort of is in Danish, but Swedish, another one, everyone would say that whole scene's cheaters. They'd write them off forever. These guys, not only do they cheat, but then they have the gall to be outraged about it. Because, in this particular case, there's 2 parts I despise. One was this, right? This is so fucking off color to do sort of like a free Zach hashtag from what? His crime. Yeah. The consequences of his crime.
Well, so let's talk about
that's wild. Because in that scenario, that implies he's innocent to me. That's why you free him, right?
9Z were a really cool storyline for me. We talked about him, episode 192. Yep. Go check it out on the other channel. We said how great it was. We said how great it was that, Argentina, the obelisk at Buenos Aires went purple for them to celebrate their achievements. Fantastic. Love underdog teams getting to the major. Love cool storylines like that. Love seeing nations we haven't seen before at a major. The game becoming more global and offsetting the parts of the world we're going to lose, like NA and stuff like this. It shows how vibrant and organic Counter-Strike is. But here's the problem. I can't, in good conscience, I can't fuck with if your immediate response is to go to victimhood.
Yes.
Because yes, I get it. It affects the team. Yes, I get it. This could have been dealt with before. Hell, there's even an argument to say they could have, if ESIC had pulled their finger out their arse, true. They could have fucking told them, you're not going to the major in time for them to replace the coach. I'll add though, I've looked into that. I don't even know if you can, once you've got your registration in, I don't think you can change your coach.
So, right. Okay.
Anyway, whatever. But what they did was outrageous. The CEO of 9Z went on social media and said Lewis Mira had...
I want to bring that up. Yes. Yeah. They're also calling out journalists. And by the way, he is totally accurate with what he said in the right. And they are constantly gaslighting that he is doing this. He specifically, Richard, is doing this to victimize them. I think they even implied he's racist against Brazilians, for fuck's sake.
Yes.
Isn't he from Portugal?
Yes.
They have the tightest connection with your fucking... the whole thing's madness, mate. And the reason I hate it is we've had the precedent for this. They did this when Dead did all the cheating, and he was guilty. What they do is they only know attack. Essentially, they're like a pit bull. All they can do is attack. That's their mode, and the problem I have is this: they don't just attack because they themselves feel attacked. They do it because, as you can see at this major, this is why I am the man stood alone. Everyone bends when Brazilians fucking mob you. Everyone just wants it to end, and in fact, now everyone has been taught and incentivized the opposite. Give Brazilians the softest treatment, praise them, apologize to them. Dude, if you predict against them when they're a massive underdog and they win, apologize that they won the game. Like, what are we doing in this scene? We are absolutely, like, between the League of Legends shit with that fucking ultra sub and then now this stuff here, it's like, this is madness, guys. Because I hate that when you use a mob against someone who is the totally righteous messenger.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was really, because Lewis is a quiet guy, you know what I mean? He's not like me and you. We're out there, right? Like, we express our opinions, and we almost, in a way, sort of take a point of pride in not fucking bending the knee, which is stupid, because, we probably should just stay away from the whole thing. You can't win. The only way to win is not to play. But anyway, that's us. That's our brand. So we are, I guess, at this point. Lewis Mira, on the other hand, is just a good fucking hard-working journalist who's steadily improved, worked hard at his craft. He's over there. He's finally been appointed as an editor at Desert, or prestige position. He's churned out tons of good work, and you've got a CEO of a company with a pretty sizable fan base saying you snitched us out to ESIC, and it's predicated on absolutely nothing. I don't even know if Lewis Mira has the channels to talk to ESIC in the same way I do, because I know them since they were founded.
Right.
So, maybe ESIC and Lewis have exchanged notes. Maybe Lewis has found out some stuff and sent it to them. But the idea that he's out there snitching on individual coaches, how would he even do that? How would he have the videos? How would he have the evidence? How would he have the channels? Why would he do it? It doesn't even make any sense. So that allegation circulated, and obviously he was getting fucking wrecked on social media.
What even is that? Also, think about it. I love to do this because it's what destroys idiotic points. Take them at their face value, accept their premise, and then explore it. So I'll accept their premise, Richard. So he's snitching by trying to get cheaters banned. By the way, he isn't even doing that. He's reporting it. But they think he's the one. By the way, even if he was doing that, that's not snitching, dickhead. It's only called snitching when, like, I don't think people get this premise right. The only reason snitching is a problem is because the built-in premise is the police are out to get us. They don't care about us. They will oppress us. So even if we do crimes, even if it is a crime, don't snitch to the police because they'll essentially use it as an excuse to victim. That's not even the case in esports, mate.
No.
This has not shown that whatsoever. And you are bang to rights guilty. You're just basically saying, like, yeah, but I wouldn't have been fired if you hadn't reported. Not even accurate. Like, but you're just thinking you found the bag man, as it were. Like, oh, I've got him here, guys.
Here's the thing. If they'd done a hashtag like Free9Z, I could be even sympathetic to that. But they were specifically requesting our guilty man has to be unbanned. Well, that don't make no sense. No. Like, you know what I mean? And also as well, he hasn't even took the suspension or the ban yet. He was just told that due to the action and the sanctions, you will not be going to the major. And
also, by the way, think of this. You can't ignore this context. It's the Brazilian fan base. Think what they did to Leaf.
Oh, sure.
And you're going to defend cheaters. Because here's the thing I hate. It tears me up when I think about this. You know, when people do that, like they'll attack you over everything you've done and everything immoral and you're a piece of shit. And then they do something and they're just like, so what? Who cares? It's like, this is fucking mental. That can never be the standard. The standard cannot be, if you're Brazilian, you're allowed to do anything against anyone else. It'll never be the standard. No matter what fucking all the talent tell you and how they kiss your ass. That can't be how we run a scene. It can't.
No, and look, at the end of the day, like, I mean, it's like I'm mega sympathetic on anyone that's worked hard, and maybe there was an infraction like a few years ago. You've even forgotten about it. Assumed you got away with it, and then it's like, future you pays for the sins of past you. Always, never a nice feeling to see that, especially if you've legitimately changed or whatever it is. But the reality is, everybody wanted ESIC to get all these cheating coaches at the start. That's what the scene wanted. That's what the scene demanded. The big criticism was, why wasn't ESIC doing it quick enough? And then they finally pulled their finger out of their arse ahead of the major, banned the three most egregious, examples that are going to be competing at the major, and everyone loses their goddamn mind. Now, also, it wasn't just the Brazilian fans that felt aggrieved with the ESIC decision. You also had, obviously, Team Spirit wasted no time at all. Team Spirit put a statement out, which was, who is the ESIC? The classic. We fucking memed on that when that small Bulgarian team did it.
Yes.
And now Team Spirit fucking did it. And here's the thing. Team spirit, as I pointed out, which, by the way, loads of people were going, well, they didn't mean who is the ESIC literally. No, but the implication is they have no authority.
Yes.
So I do understand what they mean. It's not a turn of phrase. They are trying to destroy ESIC's credibility, particularly in the CIS region, as if to say, well, we shouldn't have to acquiesce to their authority, right? And that, by the way, is the only reason Overdrive was leaking shit about it. It was a concerted effort. Look, they're coming after our teams, much like we saw, obviously, with the, no one likes Brazilian teams, just some of the most popular teams in the world. What you're talking about? No one stands with us. No one champions. No, we're right there with you. We all love you. What are you talking about? Anyway, so Team Spirit had asked ESIC to investigate Akuma in that CIS RMR. They signed the fucking letter. I
love it.
Asking them,
hey, can you go and arrest my neighbour? Knock, knock, I'm here to arrest you. Who are you? You're not the police. You have no jurisdiction over me. What?
Mental. No, but look, so they literally, I'll read you what the letter said. I will read you word for word what the letter said. It said, right, they listed all of the problems with the RMR and then said, considering these faults, we ask that you involve ESIC or any other competent authority, not only to conduct a full investigation into Akuma, but also to lay out protocols to ensure this scenario will not occur again. So a competent authority, signed Team Spirit. And then what they're doing is publicly, when their coach gets wrecked, they're like, no, but who is the ESIC? Why should we listen to the ESIC? Literally in their letter, they were like saying, what has ESIC done for us? It was like, what have the Romans ever done for us? You know what I mean? Well, they did build the aqueducts. Yeah. What has ESIC ever done? Well, they did catch some match fixers and, on multiple occasions, and, they have banned multiple cheaters. Yeah, but besides their direct mandate, Duncan. So at the end of the day, mate, I don't even understand what they were what was going to happen here. Like, because they are pretending they have no authority. Valve sign off on their decisions.
Yes.
ESIC run everything they did around this through Valve. Valve supported it. PGL are not even an ESIC member, but PGL said, because we're doing a major in conjunction with Valve, we will also support any of your findings. And this was done in advance. They told them, ESIC told them, you do realize this could create some negative PR, but this is what we recommend and what we're going to do. And so that trifecta, we're all on board with it. Where's your letter? Who is the Valve? Where's your letter? Who is the PGL? You're happy to attend the major. You're happy to take the money. You're happy to have your fucking logo in the stickers. You're happy to be in the game. You're happy to be in the pick'ems. You're happy to go to the major. This is the price. There has to be it cannot be the fucking Wild West. It cannot be every now and then Wyatt Earp rolls into town, shoots a few of them, fucks off. We have to build a structure to stop this happening. And yes, there'll be teething problems. Yes, ESIC will get stuff wrong. But if we do not build a framework, esports will always be the corrupt cesspit it is now. We are trying to build a civilization out of chaos. That is what we're trying to do. We're no further forward now, realistically, than we were in 2006. That's the terrifying thing. Despite all the money, despite all the attention, despite all the supposed positive initiatives, when it comes to catching match fixers and catching cheaters and banning them and all agreeing that we're going to do it in conjunction with each other to make our scene better, we're no further forward. We're no further forward. So the Team Spirit reaction was disappointing. I will also add, by the way, I watched the video. I'm sure you saw the Halley clip. They themselves tweeted it out. He was up here with a fixed camera bug on Mirage Ramp, right? And so just to let you know, people were going, but he didn't see anyone. He got no information. Here's some scenarios that could have happened. Basically, they won the round super easy. No problem. It was when he was coach of Espada. But if the CTs had pushed in on the pistol, he would have seen it and would have been able to call it. If after they got ramp control, someone had done a long flank from B and had come around behind him, he would have seen it. He would have been able to call it. Why would you not just say to an admin, whoa, yes, I'm not in the normal mode. We need to redo that round. You gained an advantage.
It's like you said, what people don't get is because it seems counterintuitive if they don't think about it. Since CS is a game of imperfect information because you cannot see the whole map, just a process of elimination, knowing where they can't be, can be a massive boon.
Totally.
And communicated, obviously, to the players even, which, by the way, is itself, remember the original thing everyone hated about the other coach bug? The idea you don't just use it, you tell the players.
So at the end of the day, I mean, all of that drama when we went into the major, all the people calling for like ESIC's disbandment, very popular, by the way, in CIS. There was a lot of people saying that we must disband ESIC if it's going to be fair. Just so everybody knows, their statement said it is going to impact 134 people overall. That's how widespread the whole fucking thing was. So at the end of the day, you either want to set a precedent and make sure that never happens again. And spoiler, Overdrive, who was saying, who is the ESIC? Why are ESIC not banning Zonic? They are a corrupt entity. Rise up, CIS region. Go get ESIC, right? There was an ESEA cash cup where there's a new coach book and people were using it, and he clipped it, put a video out, and said, "Why haven't ESIC banned these people? What, do you want them or do you not?" The end. Like, you have to decide.
Yes,
you have to decide. They might make decisions you don't like. They might get it wrong sometimes, but do you want somebody who has the authority to ban cheaters, match fixers, people like doing other shady shit, or don't you? Just make a decision. I'll tell you what, you don't deserve an entity like this. You don't. Esports doesn't.
No, if you look at it, all they're doing, Richard, is using friend-enemy distinction and going, if it's someone else, arrest them. And as you say, the day they come and knock on your door, you go, I don't acknowledge your jurisdiction. Fuck off with that game. That's just whack.
I know. So bad. So anyway, then we do get into the major, for realsies. And so we end up with, there was a little bit of drama and whatnot. I mean, on the first couple of days, I think there was like a few little tech problems and stuff. But in general, from the broadcast perspective, they did hit the ground running.
Was that one where, like, mate, they can't help themselves that run these fucking social media accounts. You know when, obviously there was the thing where they didn't have anything on the fucking stream at the very beginning, and then ESL was trying to meme them.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah,
come on, man, come on.
I know,
especially because as we like, you know this as well. Sorry, ESL, face it, and one day probably blast when they get bought. The second you do take the Saudi money, you no longer get to have fun jokingly calling people out. That's all. That ends for you. Listen, here's the good news. You have $1 billion. Sit back, chill with your $1 billion. Just sort your shit out. Because that's the problem. People keep doing this to me as well, like you've seen. It's like, mate, I'm sorry, you can't poke fun at me when I can just say, your boss murders children. Like, I KO you then. I win that. It's an instant, it's a technical TKO. I win. Just like the ref says I win. He pulls me off. Yeah. There's no battle even to have there, is there? Like that, there's so much clownery in esports now. Like, sadly, we've driven this point home. Like, it is just optics. It's what it appears, not what there's no substance. There's nothing to penetrate to.
Yep.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.